Thank you again. We're back on What's the Deal, and now my guest is Shari Reiches. Shari is, well, I'll let her tell you more about herself, but she's in the financial planning field, and she's recently written a book. But her financial planning and her book has quite a twist, which I don't think my friends or colleagues or contacts who work at places like Merrill Lynch or Goldman Sachs would have otherwise shared. Shari, who are you and what is it you do and why?
Sure. Well, thank you. And thank you for having me today, David.
You're welcome.
My name is Shari Reiches. I am co-founder of Reiches Capital Management. We started the firm in 2005. We're an independent registered investment advisor, and we do holistic financial planning and money management. But one goal we had when we started the firm, my partner Dave from Reiches Capital Management, we had one goal in mind, and that was maximize the return on life for our clients. We wanted them to invest their time and money in what they value most. And we find in our industry, like you just said, so many of the firms are focused on performance and the best mutual funds and stocks. And we really want to look at the big picture for our clients. It's more than that. Of course, we manage money and we do a great job with that. But really, values don't come into play too often. And I could talk a little bit more about that in a few moments. But that's really what we started doing. And we have just been blown away by the people that are just so interested in this. And I mean, who doesn't want to maximize the return on their life?
And so you also have written a book now, which is called
Maximize Your Return on Life. We like to keep the message simple and invest your time and money in what you value most. Here's the book, and you can kind of see the time and money. This has been a 2-year project. It just finished about a month ago. I've had a blog for just a month ago. So it's been really fun launching this book. And the reactions have just been amazing. People that have been reading it. I had an 85-year-old client of mine almost in tears saying he wished he would have read the book, 50 years ago, because there were so many times in his life that he put work first and he didn't look at his values. And he's now getting it for his kids and grandkids. And if I could just change one life at a time with this book, that's what it's worth.
So let's dive deeper on that because, it sounds good, feel good, but, make money and also, fill in the blank and everything's perfect. But the pushback, you hear is, okay, but who's going to pay for that? Or if that worked, why doesn't everyone do it? Or that's just, it's too good to be true. So what is, values-based investing and how, and it's interesting because I actually, I'm giving you the counterpoint, but I just got off the phone with somebody who is an angel investor who's looking to buy a property here in the city and New York City. And they only invest in, things that appeal to them socially. It is a requirement of their investment strategy. So anyway, what does it mean to you and how do we define these things?
Yeah, and I dedicated the book to my dad, who was kind of my mentor and taught me a lot. And very early on in life, he said, you can have anything you want, not everything. So pick what's most important to you. And I kind of
you can have anything
you want, but not everything.
Everything.
Right. It's very profound, and you really have to think about it. And I'll tell you a quick story. It all started when I was 16. I got my first job. I was making money, and Bruce Springsteen was coming to town, and I wanted a pair of Fry boots. And I couldn't afford both. I called this blog Boots and Bruce. So I went to my dad. I said, I just made this money. I'm so excited. I have my first job. Bruce Springsteen's coming into town. I also want these Fry boots. What should I do? And he looked at me and he said, you can have anything you want. You just can't have everything. So what's most important to you? And I did pick Bruce, and I think I've been an experienced person ever since. But I, 2 main principles he taught me. It was that one, and live within your means, and everything else goes into place. So I kind of try to mirror those two concepts together, and it comes back to the values. It could be how you invest your money, how you spend your money, and how you spend your time. And I have a chapter in the book. Imagine going to a grocery store without your list. What happens? You buy wasabi chips, you buy the candy bar, you buy the ice cream, you buy the wrong milk, and you didn't have a list, and you're frantically going through the aisles. And that's why I kind of think this list of values is your guide.
So how does that translate into investing? I mean, because there are people who invest in companies at an early stage, and those people tend to be incredibly wealthy. But there are other people, maybe like me, who invest, a small portion of their paycheck every week into a, bank account that has some stocks in it, maybe, or things like that. And what is the difference between those? What does it mean for the retail investor to invest with their values?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very small part of the book, but I can address that. There's a lot of different investment approaches. There's kind of what you were mentioning, more of an active approach where you buy a stock or you buy a fund and you're actively looking for that. Our firm advocates more of an index-based approach, which is much more broadly based, low cost. But we also recently had a lot of clients whose values were social concerns, and it's something called ESG, environmentally social governance. And so we have funds that for those clients who is part of their values, we invest in funds that follow that have lower emissions, lower toxic waste, no child labor, tobacco, guns, whatever the values are of the clients. So that's one way that you can use your values. What my book is trying to do is be much broader. You can't even start investing until you do a budget based on your values and you put some money away so that you can start this investment program. And that's really what the book is all about, because I find people just run out autopilot. They make the money, they earn the money, they save the money, and they never take a breath. And I had some clients, you'll appreciate this. They were in their mid 50s. They owned a real estate in Utah, Michigan, Chicago, partners at a law firm, working 60 hours a week. And we went through the list of values, and they said, one of them said, the one value I loved the most when we got married was flexibility, that I didn't have to be tied down to all these properties. I could do what I wanted to do. And she, had worked so hard and wanted to really start writing some short stories. So we figured out a way which properties we could reduce, and she could reduce her schedule and start doing what she wanted and really living her values, not society's values. Too many people want the big houses, the big cars. And, maybe, in New York, being in a good area is very important. Being with a good school system is very important. So that might be your value. That's where you're going to place your money. But maybe you won't go on vacation every year, or you can't have the Tesla. But again, you can have anything you want, not everything. So you have to pick what's most important.
And what about people who are new parents? Do you interact with those types of people, and do they have these types? Because as a new parent,
Right.
The idea of having time to be a parent is certainly a value that you have, but also the idea to have money to be a good parent is
Right.
the anxiety. So what about that? I mean, of course, you can't just solve that, but is that something that people are worried about, that you have found in your practice?
Well, I find with young couples, when kids aren't involved, you kind of travel. There's a lot more flexibility. But the first lesson I try to work with my clients is the partners need to discuss their values and make sure that they're in sync, that they believe in the same values. And is education an important value? Well, if it is, then
No.
maybe you start some people it is, some people it isn't.
No, it's obviously a point of conversation with all couples. In my case,
Yes.
my wife went to a very great local private school, and I went to local public schools, 5 of them, and they were each so good that I kept going to another one. But it's interesting. I
Right,
get
but you
what you
should
mean.
know now, if this is a main value, that it's private school, not public school, well, you need to start saving now, and maybe there's things along the way that you're gonna have to choose from, and unless money is infinite, then you can have everything, but most people can't have everything. So, it's almost like you have to sit down and budget and figure out where you're gonna allocate those dollars.
Wow, this is really refreshing, and I really love it. And I bet, before I let you go, we only have so much time, that you are not the type of financial planner who tells people that they can't have certain things. Like, but I mean, you've already alluded to it, but a lot of times in my field, people see a house they like. I mean, this is
Mhm.
basically, and I've dealt with this for doing this 20 years, and they go to their financial planner, and the financial planner, sometimes convinces them, or tries to convince them, that they don't want that house.
Right.
They should rent. How does that conversation translate into this conversation about values?
Yeah, and so, the first is the values, but then math is math. You can afford what you can afford. So people get very nervous about budgeting. It's complicated. So I try to drill this pretty easily. I say it's the 50-30-20. 50% of your income should go towards either rent, your mortgage, your insurance, your food, your prescriptions. Those are your basics. Then you have 30%, which is your fun stuff, which is your travel, your clothes, your cars, your jewelry, your art, whatever's important to you. And then you have the 20%, which is savings, paying down other debt besides mortgage, whether it's student loans or car loans. But I never say no to someone, because if this home is going to be part of their values, it's where they want to live, where they want to raise their family, and the percentages start to go up at 60%, then I want to make them aware they may have to reduce their discretionary spending. So if this is so important to you, you only have 20% discretionary. Maybe you're fortunate you don't have student loans, you've saved enough, and maybe you can squeeze a little bit from the debt side over. But I rarely will say no, because I want people to do what's important to them, what they value, what they're going to wake up every morning and be proud and be happy where they are. Now, if that home is 110% of their income, then we have to have a discussion, and it's not going to work. But if it's between 40 and 60, we can make it happen. But hopefully my clients know ahead of time going in what they can afford and what works for them, so that they don't fall in love with the home that's going to push them over the edge. So it's all in the planning.
That is fantastic, Shari. And so, would you repeat for us again where we can find the book and what the title
Yeah,
is?
and all the stuff I talked about's in there. It's on Amazon. Maximize your return on life. You can also look under Shari Greco Reiches. I have my own website, Shari Greco Reiches, that has a lot of the blogs. The 50-30-20 is drilled down even more. I've got my 8 financial tips that would be great for new parents. I also have a chapter for college grads, kind of my checklist of what they should be doing. I have chapters on how to leave a legacy to your loved ones. But one thing that is really interesting, and I know we got to go in a few moments, but really think about your early memories of money and share that with your partner, because those early memories of money affect how you spend money today. And people don't look into it. How did your parents spend the money? How did you spend it? How did you feel? And I was very fortunate during COVID. I got my certificate in applied behavioral finance, and it is just so fascinating, because people manage their money, that's fine, but it's this whole values and how it plays into their planning and their spending and their future and their peace of mind. And if I can leave with the 2 quotes I started with, you can have anything you want, not everything. And if I can encourage your listeners, this is my passion. I'm trying to spread the word. Put it on your Facebook, spread the word, but please live within your means. If you live within your means, you'll have less stress, less debt, more choices, more flexibility. And when an emergency happens, like COVID or something like that, you'll have money to get through. And believe me, you will, that is the key to financial happiness.
Amen, sister. Shari, thank you so much. I think that anyone who pays close attention to this is going to get a lot out of it. I think we all know, whether it's our health and wellness or our mindset or our finances, if you don't have a plan, then you should plan to fail. And, everyone who doesn't fail has a plan. And if you're going to make a plan, it's good to listen to people who do this. And yours way sounds like a real way that can connect with all the people that I know. So I'm going to check that book out too. Shari, sorry you're not here in New York. We can't say hi.
Yeah,
but
well, one day we will.
one day soon. And good luck with the book. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.